right, so let's get into it. Will McClay, his first conversation to everyone about the draft selections. And everybody knows, man, Will McClay, he's been one of those guys since he became one of the guys that help out the Joneses as it relates to like drafting and beyond and scout evaluation. They've been more on a even keel, if I can say that in those fashions. But here's Will McClay and his thoughts on the draft. And shout out to 105.3 The Fan.
Pretty satisfied because it was a different year of work from what we're accustomed to, and the way the guys jumped in from a scouting standpoint and did their jobs and went above and beyond, then putting the board together, working with the coaches and figuring it out, and then just seeing how it all panned out. Now we get, like you said, we get to see them on the field and see what we got.
Will, you guys got a couple of giant cornerbacks, and it feels like that's sort of a Dan Quinn imprint. How does that work leading up to the draft versus conversations when you're about to actually make a pick, working with those coaches?
Yeah, well, it's the process started right after the season and kind of going into, because we're trying to figure out if we were going to have a combine, and the way all those things came out from the COVID stuff. Well, getting the opportunity to work with the coaches and find out with the new scheme or different defensive coordinator what we were going to be trying to do and what he valued most, and then what that's in the draft pool and even in free agency, what fit kind of some of the parameters that he was looking for and the staff were looking for. That was the big thing, is spending time with them and learning them. And every year, every different coaching staff, they have these little things that they want, they like, they don't like, and learning those and kind of putting together the board based on our values as football players and then what fits the team.
So with that being said, now Will McClay, his job is to listen to what the coaching staff says that they want. And he got to go out there and tell his scouting department, hey, these are the guys that coach said that he's looking for. Now, there's an old saying that you just grab the talent and then you worry about the scheme later. But sometimes you will fall in love with the scheme and you will look at the traits opposed to the talent. Now, I don't know whether or not this is going to be a horrible situation for the Cowboys. Remember, we did this before. Taco Charlton, scheme fit because he had the actual arm length and the size opposed to the talent. TJ Watt was a better talent. So we will see whether or not this will all panned out, grabbing a guy that's 6'3" or 4", opposed to grabbing the talent. We'll find out.
This is kind of an off-the-wall question, but when you have, like last year's defensive coordinator was only here for 1 year. So when coaches have that sort of input and you're trying to get guys that they want, as opposed to like Mike McCarthy has talked about before with the players over scheme, is that worrisome in any way to be kind of getting players for a guy and you never know how long that's going to last?
No, I think, you have to consistently as an organization, you got to have a barometer as to what starting and winning NFL players are and put your board there based on that. And we all know it's a big, strong, fast, athletic league. And I think if you, kind of look at things that way, you have an opportunity to be more right than wrong and not changing all the time. So, but when the coach says he wants a guy to play a certain technique, there comes the football coach side of it, and then the scout side of it is, well, why does this guy play this technique better? Is it because of length? Is it because of leverage? Is it because of whatever? And try and put those pieces together and say what players fit the most at what value.
No doubt. So with that being said, the scout is always in the mercy seat of the coach, and the coach is in the mercy seat of the scout. Because the coach could have a clear vision of what they want, but the scout is saying this is all that's available. But based upon what you want, these are the things. Now, the scout should also look at that and say, well, although this guy may not be 6'3" or 6'4", he can bring the same impact as 6'1" or 6 foot. So those are the conversations that they should have. I'm not saying they are not. But 9 times out of 10, sometimes coaches have egos and say, hey, give me that big, tall guy. I can coach up the inefficiencies. But the other problem to that when they're coaching, coaches got to have that longitude and latitude to know that they're going to be here for this program for more than 3 or 4 years to develop. Now, I do know I can hear people now saying, man, 3 or 4 years, that's too long to develop. So that's why where McClay said the barometer, meaning that the culture should be that this particular team is known for doing this. And you've seen that before. Certain teams, regardless of who they are, they always play good defense. Or a certain team, regardless of who they are, they always run the rock. So establishing your identity, it comes from the head and it goes all the way down. So we'll find out which or what identity the Dallas Cowboys will exhibit for this year, because this is now going into the second phase. This is the second year of Mike McCarthy, regardless of the situation. Now, I know a lot of people go back and forth to say to themselves, hey, is this a 3-4 team or a 4-3 team? Well, go back to look at the head coach. See what he normally have on his defense. 3-4, 4-3. Coaches got this mindset that, hey, my way, this is my program. Of course I can get somebody else to run it, but all in all, this is my program.
Like the draft gods gave you a gift with Jabril Cox there at 115. I know a lot of people had him probably going a lot higher than that. Did you have to sit there and sweat that one out?
Yeah, we kind of sweated it out a little bit. He was a guy that when we came into the off season and we're thinking about things and how you continue to improve the defense and looking at the landscape of how offenses are played now. It's a space game, and then there's a lot of tight ends and big receivers, slot type stuff that you have to cover in the way that the game is played. And so he's shown the ability to be able to do those things. So when it came down, when we were going through the process, he was a guy that, I thought fit that bill, and several others did. And then, when he was sitting there, I said, we got to go do that. It's the right time.
So basically, he was sitting there saying, hey, I'm sweating this out, but at some point, we got to give this guy, Jabril Cox, a call. We got to go ahead, because I cannot let this pick pass me by, because we are looking for certain things out of this defense, and he fits all of that. Let's go ahead and grab him now. And I'm quite sure that there's other guys of the Jabril Cox, quote unquote, in this draft that they done sat there and said, maybe we can get a little bit greedy and get the better value a little bit later, and try to go out there and get some other guy that can fit this particular team on the defensive side. That happened before, and I'm quite sure that at some point these scouting guys and everybody else that's outside of the ones that make the final decision beating on the table like, hey, we got to go ahead and get this guy. We got to hurry up. And then once that pick is gone, they have to hurry up and flip it over and start banging on the table for another guy. That's just how it goes. It's a dog-eat-dog world, but everybody want to be right.
It's Will McClay here with you on 105.3 The Fan. Okay, what was it like going through the first draft here with Dan Quinn and getting his perspective on things?
It was great. Dan and I got to hit the road a few times together, so I got to form we call each other the road dogs at the beginning of it, and got some time to spend some individual time with him and hear his philosophies on players, on schemes, on his experience in Atlanta and the different places that he's been, and gain some insight into not only what kind of player he likes and why he likes certain types of players, with his background and things that he's done. So it's been great, and just sitting around him and watching the staff come together and the way that they are putting it together with the direction of Mike, but also Dan, it's been a great experience.
Well, I love that we got to hear from Dan Quinn over the weekend, and I think getting his perspective helps a lot of people understand different things. With the first pick, Micah Parsons at 12, we generally expect if you're picked that high, you're going to start, you're going to play the majority of the snaps, Do you guys have a feel for how that looks with Van Der Esch and Smith and Keanu Neal?
No, I think, we got them all here, and they're going to figure out how to make it work. I think that's a good problem to have, is have talented guys and figure out how to get them all on the field together, and I think they have a good plan for it. I won't divulge that to you guys right now, but there's a way that you can do that and use the talents of everybody.
That's a smart move, Will. Ooh, that's a smart move. Hey, I can't pour it all out on you guys, but they're planning on using them all. Now, we can think and we can ponder about it, but we don't have to get into details of it. Just know that talent is talent. You can never have too much talent. And what we're banking on, Cowboy Nation, collectively speaking, is that we're looking for a healthy Jalen Smith and a healthy LVE. And then you also add in that extra spice. Woo-woo! Now, one thing that I kind of taken from the other part of the actual conversation before he went into details of that last piece was he became road dog with Dan Quinn, meaning that he's still learning. Think about this. This is Will McClay first year hanging out with Dan Quinn, probing his mind, trying to figure out which player he really loved opposed to like. And when you're doing that evaluation, sometimes it takes a while. It takes a while. Nobody got instant chemistry, right? So what I believe that if you match up Will McClay with Dan Quinn for more than 1 year, oh my goodness, he would then know all of the things that he liked. But what we're trying to do now is we're trying to cram everything in there, and sometimes you miss out on some things. Unfortunately, that is the cost of doing business when you get somebody new and have a different type of philosophy and thoughts. Because just last year, and I'm quite sure that it probably didn't happen this way, it was Will McClay and Mike Nolan. So, and truth be told, Mike Nolan probably didn't get a chance to bang on the table loud enough or hard enough to go grab the guys that he really and truly wanted. But that's the cost of doing business. And, of course, the pandemic and all of those things, you can throw those things out there. But great interview with Will McClay and beyond. I guess I can push it a little bit further, right? You guys, we ain't going nowhere, right? It's Cowboy Nation. Let's go.
Will, I think one of my favorite picks you made in day 3 was Quentin Bohannon. And when you watch that Kentucky tape and you see that number 95, it never turns. It always stays square along the line of scrimmage. Is this one of those guys? I mean, I don't remember ever having a guy that big on this for this organization playing for you guys like that.
I think that we've been around each other for a while, so we see things the same on a lot. And you turn on the Kentucky tape, and that was the big, strong, long, athletic guy that played in the middle against the best competition. And we wanted to get bigger there in order to play run defense, but also affect the passer. You need guys that can do it, that can get you to third down and in those passing situations. And a young player with his skill set and still being able to grow and develop, you think there's some athletic traits in there for him to be able to pass rush. Plus, he's big, strong. He's got 34-inch arms, which affects the A-gaps, which affects the passing lanes. He was a guy that was interesting to how we're going to build the defense.
You hear what he said. He's a guy that's interesting on how we going to build the defense. Now, when you're talking about a big athletic guy like that from Kentucky, actually from South Memphis, shout out to Memphis, Tennessee, when you think about all of that, man, that is something that we've been missing for a minute now. Athletic, big guy that I'm going to tell you guys, look up his tape, and there's also a video out there that his coaching staff and the people that taught him and brought him up to speed over there in Kentucky said he's not just a big guy. He was also the best basketball player on their football team. And, it's football, but that means you got some dexterity, you got some movement around you, and you can get up and down that court. So I like hearing that. His short area quickness as far as in small space, man, this guy is going to put that work in. Now, getting to third down will be the key. And you need dogs like that. So I can see him being in this defense, making all type of great movements as relates to putting that power, that weight, and that strength all on that front five. Ooh, woo! Remember, it's 4 versus 5. And what you want to do is simple math. You want that fourth guy or that guy that's in the middle to be that agitator, to shake up some stuff so much that they start emphasizing on that guy in the middle. And when he can account for 2 and sometimes 3, that's when your dog's going to eat on the edge. Look, that's when they're going to eat real good. Y'all already know. Think about this. Think about this. Let me hit it again. Because when you have D-Law one-on-one, Randy Gregory one-on-one, and don't forget about Bradley and I one-on-one. I'm telling people right now, we got some guys that's on the edge, and if Bradley or I makes this team now because they got a different philosophy, at least you'll still have Chauncey. And I think Bradley or I still will be on this team, but you guys get what I'm saying. Chauncey, he might be a guy that can get off that edge too. So it happens and it works when you have that presence from the interior. It do.
Will McClay here with you on the Fan. Now, Will, with Josh Ball, it's a player we'd love to know more about as far as what helped you guys get comfortable with him, considering he, seemed to struggle with the relationship there at the university.
Yeah, I mean, what we did was we did our homework. We passed it through. We got the information that everybody else had. We looked at the situation at Florida State and we talked to people there. We've visited with people at Marshall. And spent time digging through it and spending time with the player to find out what the deal was. We gave it to our legal people. So we felt comfortable with all of the work that we had done on who the kid was and what he was all about, and as well as watching the tape and what he could do. He has the ability to play left tackle, right tackle. There weren't very many offensive linemen in this draft that had the measurables, the ideal measurables to play tackle, as well as the ability to play it physically with his feet and with his bend and all that other stuff. So we were comfortable with the person before we started talking about the football player. We knew all of the issues that everybody else did. And one of the things that Jerry said in the press conference that I really applaud him for and staying true to is everybody deserves a second chance if they have earned that second chance. And I think this kid has earned the opportunity to do that. I think about all the things that all of us have done when we were young, maybe not to the level or extent that this may have gotten to, but we make mistakes, we learn from them, and we grow.
No doubt. Now, this is the Ball kid, and of course, it's a horrible situation that he went through with the domestic violence. Oh, that he calls, and I'm not saying that he went through it, but what he calls. Now, here's my truth on this. We can't continue to judge something or have our opinions on something and cast aspersions and sully and denigrate a person for what they did 5 to 6 years ago. It's water under the bridge now. I don't think that the kid was arrested or what have you. I didn't dive too much into that. But if the Jones family said that they did all of their due diligence, then stop being a person that casts judgment on somebody that's trying to improve their life. There's millions of people that goes through thousands of things that they did badly. But if you're going to only put that person in that confinement or that box or paint them with that brush, man, this world will be crazy, crazy, crazy. And I know we have past history or historics as relates to data on the Joneses being risky on troublesome players. But we got to understand, too, when you pull up that arrest report, there's an NFL database. I might post it somewhere in the description box. When you look up arrested players, the Dallas Cowboys not even on the top of that list. There's other teams out there. But by it being that it's the Dallas Cowboys, everything is magnified. I mean, you can't walk outside without your umbrella if TMZ sees that and while it's raining, and they will say, hey, look at this guy. That's just how it goes. But I trust what Will McClay just said. They sent their legal team out there, and they did their evaluations, and they studied up, and they did everything, and they evaluated the person before they evaluated the player. That's rich. That is rich in insights to all of this.
So, Will, there's a video of Howie Roseman and the Eagles making a pick, and Tom Donahoe, the senior director of player personnel, clearly did not like the pick. Were there any picks in this draft that would be sort of your fist pump guy when they took him and you were like, yes, this one, that's my guy?
When we picked him?
Yeah. Is there any of them where your reaction would have been absolutely, yes, nailed it. That's my guy right there.
I think all 11 of them. I'm going to put my name and stamp on all 11 of them because I got, I'm in charge of putting the board together and listening to the scouts and putting it all together. We do it collectively, but if they're on the board, there's something about them that fits us and that we're excited about. So I'm excited about all of them.
I'll pat you on the back on that Stanford receiver. I think you got a guy with clutch genes there, man. That kid, when you watch him on tape, it seems like he makes every single play, Will.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy that, you look at the physical measurables and you say, boy, there's something there. Because, again, we're always looking – if you look at everybody's draft, they're always looking for the big athletic guy with the high, athletic spark score or whatever. But then they have to be able to play football. And you see his measurables and you see him play and you see him, as you said, Brian, being a clutch guy for them. And that he's just got this it about him as a player, and he hadn't achieved his full ceiling yet. So I'm excited to get him with our offense and with Coach Henry, who I've been around for a couple of years, who does an incredible job with receivers, making them better. So if you got a guy with a high level of skill and talent, and you need the right stuff to be able to refine that and grow and get better, I'm really excited about his opportunities to help us moving down the line too.
So when we think about that, man, he said a mouthful there. When we look at these draft picks, there's still room for growth. They're going to develop. They're not just going to be final when they get drafted. So, man, that's good stuff right there. Shout out to Adam Henry, too.
I was talking to a guy at San Francisco, and you stole them from him. And so he was like, so tip of the cap for you for being ahead of the game on that one.
We had about 4 or 5. I had about 4 or 5 teams.
Good player. That is a good player.
Contact me afterwards, and they were like, "Damn, we were going to go after him."
Yeah.
Will, should we expect a little interest maybe in the recently released Jeff Heath?
We'll look at it and address the issue as it comes. I mean, we know Jeff, and Jeff's done great things for us, and he went to Oakland and had a great season. But we're going to go through and look at what we have on the roster, and we're going to look at every opportunity to improve if it makes sense.
Yes, indeed. That was the end of that. Leave no stone unturned. I'm not saying cast him out or what have you. If he come in, let it not be a situation where you give him a job position without challenging for it. So, Cowboy Nation, we're going to have to figure this out. Great interview by Will McClay. Understand that all of this is a progress. It's one of those things where it's not the end result, and player evaluation is still 365, right? So keep it live with that, with your mindset to understand that, man, these guys are trying to figure this out and putting things in place so that they can win this race, huh? How about that, Cowboy Nation? I really appreciate you all for tuning in. My name is Law Nation. Be sure to hit that like button, share this content. Let a friend, neighbor, foe know where to go when they want to tune in to Cowboy Sports Talk and beyond. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Go Cowboys. Let's go.